You've probably heard the quote that doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, is the definition of insanity. And I think that's a funny quote because some people, they'll say that and then they'll go ahead and do the same thing over and over again, expecting to be happy or in shape or healthy whenever it hasn't done anything for them in the past. I used to be one of those people, actually, to where I would just spam the same dopamine button and try and get happy from it, the same instant gratification button, and it wouldn't make me happy at all. And I actually remember a time where I had just gotten broken up with, right? And so I'm lying on my bed just scrolling, right? Just trying to get my mind off it. I think, if I scroll or I just try and ignore it and just push it away, it'll go away, right? It didn't work. And so I'm just scrolling and I'm thinking it'll work, right? But I have this kind of thought in my mind this isn't working. No, just keep scrolling, surely it'll work. That's insanity. It's ridiculous. That's complete insanity when I think back on it. And I do the same thing with food. I would try exercising a certain way or dieting a certain way, and it just wouldn't work. Either I wouldn't lose the weight that I wanted, I would exercise and not get the results that I wanted. It sucked, I'll be honest. And I've changed those things up, my way of living, how I eat, and how I exercise, to things that some people might find extreme. And I don't think they're that extreme, to be honest, but comparing it to the average person, it might be considered extreme. So I'm just going to share with you those aspects of my life, why I do those things, and maybe you'll find those cool, and try and change up your own life to be, I guess, extreme compared to other people. Because the fact is, most people are mediocre, and I think if you change even a little bit of your life, you'll get some pushback, but that's a good thing. Going against the beaten path isn't a bad thing, and I hope that my examples can kind of show you that it's been a benefit for my life to not go down the beaten path. Because, like I said in the beginning, right, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And so if you want to get different results from people, then you have to do different actions. So if you don't want to be mediocre, it's my belief that you have to do something different to most people. I'm going to share with you my way of dieting, exercising, and living for just optimizing for happiness and just having a better life in general. The first thing that I'm going to start with is my diet. So I do a ketogenic carnivore diet, and basically that means that I eat 0 plants, 0 carbs. I eat meat, eggs, salt, and water. That's the only things I consume, essentially. And some people will find that extreme. They'll think, oh my gosh, no plants, no carbs, what? Oh my gosh, you're going to die. I don't think that's true, okay? From what I've listened to, from what I've researched, it's the best thing for me, okay? And if you want to try it, I don't think it's going to kill you to try it out for a little bit. And if you don't like it, then fine, right? This is just how I live. But the reason why I switched to this is because the normal advice of oh, make sure you're have a balanced diet of greens and veggies, it just didn't work for me, okay? I felt really off eating the same old junk food that most people ate, and even eating the same vegetables that people ate and the same fruits. It just didn't mesh well for me. But I think the actual step that you can take away from this, honestly, is just don't eat junk food, okay? Most people nowadays, 70% of their diet is ultra processed nonsense, okay? So if you can just eat real whole food, and even if that includes vegetables and fruits and whatnot, then that's fine. That's going to be really good for you compared to 70% of freaking some candy bars or some shit. Focus on eating whole, non-processed food. That'd be my advice to a general person. But if you want to go extreme, right, try out basically an elimination diet, right? Cut out all the BS, all the nonsense, and just go with the basics of just meat, salt, and water. You can't, I don't think you can go wrong with that, because it has everything you need. From what I understand, it has everything you need, all the nutrients you need. So yeah, that's honestly why I do a carnivore diet, and it just makes me feel good. I'm building muscle, I'm losing fat. It's pretty good. And it's so simple. And I'll get into that later, but just the simplicity of the diet helps me a ton. You know, I don't have to worry about, oh, you know, can I do this with this? Oh, like, no, it's just like the rules are simple. Eat meat, live. It's just the simplicity of the diet makes it really easy to follow, in my opinion. And, you know, some people, they don't like the strictness of a diet, but that's only whenever you come at it from a frame of, you know, strict being a bad thing. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. Now it's time to talk about exercise and how I train. So before, I used to train, you know, a couple times a week, and that'd be it. Like, I actually remember a time where I would try and build muscle by going to the gym 3 times a week, and I don't think it works for me personally, okay? What I like to do now is I like to train just about every single day, and sometimes actually twice a day, because I really enjoy the feeling of just exercising and just moving my body around. You know, there's some people who could probably do the 3 times a week, but I'm pretty sure that you need to go pretty intensely 3 times a week if you're going to do it that infrequently. Recently, I've been learning to increase the intensity of my workouts, but I think just going more often, getting more reps in, is just a better way of going about it, honestly. And, you know, some people might consider this to be like overtraining. Oh my gosh. I don't think it is, honestly. Like, I'm not doing like 3-hour long workouts every like 2 3-hour long workouts. I'm just doing like a good workout session, and I'm doing different types of exercise. Like, what I'm trying to do now is something that's like hybrid athlete, essentially, where it's you lift and then you also run, right? So the workout split that I'm kind of building out now is I'm doing 3 days a week of lifting, right? But I'm doing, I think it's 5 days a week or 6 days a week of running. So I'm, you know, primarily focusing on running, but I'm also doing lifting aspects to make me a better runner. I think that's something that a lot of people should consider, honestly, is like meshing together, because I see a lot of people that either do just running, like they're those like long distance dudes that just run basically all the time, or they just do cardio, or there's those type of people that just weightlift and they're like, I just go to the gym, bro. But I think honestly you should mix those. I think that you can get the best of both worlds. One, by looking sexy from lifting and building muscle, right? And 2, you get the cardio and the health benefits from running or doing your form of cardio, right? And you just mesh those together, and it's a freaking wonderful blend. I don't think that's necessarily extreme, but I don't see a lot of people doing it, and I think it'd be beneficial if more people did, you know, that style of training. The final thing about me that I want to share with you is just how I live, and basically it's my life philosophy. There's a couple parts to it, but it starts out with this. I read this book called Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. I think a lot more people should read it, honestly. There's a lot of like revelatory stuff in it. The line that has been burnt into my mind is, were you meant to feel nice? In that part of the book, it's just questioning this situation of like, oh, you know, it's cold outside, but I want to lay in bed and just sleep because it feels nice in bed. But the question is, were you built to feel nice? Were you made to feel nice? And in the book, he basically argues like, no, like you're built to do what your nature demands you to do. And I think I really want to follow that more in my life, because I see around me a lot of people who are trying to feel nice. You know, they're eating the shit food, but it tastes really good, right? They're not exercising as much as they could because it hurts. It doesn't feel nice. And maybe they just ignore what they're called to do because it's difficult or it's like annoying or scary. But I think that's not the right play. And so what I'm trying to do more in my life is trying to push myself to not feel nice, because whenever I'm feeling like scared or uncertain, I kind of take that as a signal that I'm on a somewhat right track, or like if I feel uncomfortable, like if I'm running a bunch and my legs hurt, that's it's probably a good sign that I'm doing something that's okay. Of course, like a torn ACL probably isn't, because that would be uncomfortable too, and that's probably not correct. But I think you get what I mean, is pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to be uncomfortable. That's how I want to live life, honestly. And so I try and avoid, the modern comforts. And obviously I'm not perfect. I still get trapped in these things, like scrolling on my phone. Like that's a problem that I think I've somewhat mitigated. But I'm trying to avoid the general traps of today. I try and read books. I try and exercise as much as possible. I try and just not eat shit food, Like I try and avoid feeling super nice all of the time. And obviously there's a time and place for having some sort of like pleasure in your life, but I don't think that, chasing instant gratification is the play, So I try and just educate myself more. I try and, not sit, like I try and have a routine life that maybe I don't like to do all the time, but it's an act of discipline to live it. The next part of my life philosophy is just kind of keeping things simple. And I kind of touched on this with my diet, but like I've been trying to simplify my life as much as possible recently. And the next part of my life philosophy that I want to share with you is just keeping things simple. And I think it's best represented by this meme called the Midwit meme, where essentially, like, I'll put up a picture of it, but it's essentially there's two dudes that generally have the same answer. One's like a caveman, one's like a Jedi. And then as you get to the center of the bell curve, there's this like raging crying dude, and he basically overcomplicates things a ton. The underlying message from those kind of memes is just like, keep it simple in life, because often the simplest answer is the answer to go with. And so whenever I'm overthinking, whenever I'm trying to like overcomplicate my training or whatever, I just try and simplify it down and go to caveman logic. If I'm thinking about my diet or whatever, it's just like, eat meat, eat egg, and just move on with life, right? Like I've been trying to really implement this everywhere I can in life, is just try and keep things simple. So for example, how could I simplify my day as much as possible? Just do a couple of basic things every single day that make my life better. Routine, it's going to be, waking up at the same time, going to bed, reading books, not scrolling on social media. It's those kind of things that just honestly make my life more simple. And even though they're not like nice things to do, they might be boring or whatever, they just honestly, they make my life better. It's really weird and ironic almost that doing the things that aren't comfortable in the moment actually make you better in the long term and make your future self happy. And I think that's kind of the overarching philosophy that I'm trying to live by, is just set my future self up for success. Because I know that if my future self is going to be happy with the things that I'm doing now, then eventually I'm going to become that future self, and and in that process I'm going to become happy. I'm going to become successful. I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to achieve my goals, etc., etc. That's how I live life. I think some people might consider that extreme, to where, I'm trying to go against the grain. I'm trying to go against the grain of the modern society. But I don't live like most people my age. I don't live like most people. And some people might consider it extreme, but I do this because I want to have a better life. I want to be happy in the future. I don't want to be caught in this like mediocre nonsense that most people are caught in. And that's all I have to share with you today. I hope this video, helped you out at least a little bit, and maybe you can try going against the grain a little bit in your own life. But yeah, that's all I have for you today. If you like what I'm saying, go subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Be better and have a W day.